What's up, guys? Orcas here, and today we got another video. Finally, I've been able to have time to be able to make this video. As you guys know by the title, you know exactly what I'm doing. It's every Clone Wars episode ranked, and if you guys know the process I had to go through to do this list, it took so long. It took, I think, 2 or 3 days to do the list. I took like hours making the list. It was a lot of work, but finally I've done it. And I think I'm only the second person to ever rank every single episode. And the only person I think that's ever done it is Sector for Nerds. Huge shout out to Sector for Nerds. I've been on his channel a couple times, and one time right now, but I'm gonna be in more videos on his channel. Good dude, you should go check him out if you haven't. Just a great Star Wars person. But yeah, I took inspiration from him to make this video, and I'm very excited about it. So with that being said, let's get into it. So obviously we're gonna start from the worst. There's 133 episodes, so forgive me if I don't remember every episode. I got the Clone Wars episode list here, so if I can't remember an episode, I'll look it up through the seasons. I have all the seasons here, so some of them I know by heart, but some of them I might not, so I might have to go to this list to make sure I know what it is, because there's a lot of episodes in one arcs and stuff in arcs as well, so I could get them mixed up with other episodes and stuff and just not know them. This will obviously very brief, as talking about 133 Clone Wars episodes will take a long time, so I'll only summarize them. Should only take 10 seconds, around 10 seconds, maybe 30 seconds for each episode. So with that being said, let's get into it. So in very last place, we have Downfall of a Droid. And yeah, this one's just bad. I'll go ahead and say it. Downfall of a Droid and Duel of the Droids, it's a 2-part arc. Both of them are very low on this list, and Downfall of a Droid's the first episode. These 2 episodes are just very unfinished. This episode in particular, it's just not good. The music choice is weird, the animation is bad, even the voice acting is pretty bad. I feel like these were the first episodes they made. It's just not good. So at 132, we got Bombad Jedi, suffers from the same stuff. Also, Jar Jar's annoying. The plot's kind of interesting, but there's also a lot of stupid stuff that happens. 131, we got Duel of the Droids. Also, like I said, it's another part of the droid arc with R2, going missing. Just also bad, but a little bit better, just not good. A Sunny Day in the Number 130, A Sunny Day in the Void. This one was bad. It's a droid episode. Yeah, it's almost torture to watch, but George likes the episode apparently. So, and then 129, we move into the D tier. Those 4 episodes were F tier episodes in my opinion. Now we're in the D tier episodes, and we start off with 129, Evil Plans. It has Cad Bane in the episode, but otherwise it's just very uneventful and boring. It's an R2 and 3PO episode, just not that good. And then at 128, we got Dangerous Debt. This is part of the Trace and Rafa arc with Ahsoka. This episode, they start up in prison and end back up in prison. Just not good. And then 127, we got Deal No Deal. Also Trace and Rafa arc. Let me see what else happens in this one. Deal No Deal. This was the second episode in the arc. Just not good. I don't like it. The sisters are annoying. So yeah. At 126, we got Supply Lines. It pains me to put this episode so low because I love The Last Stand with Ima-Gundy and Captain Keeley, but the Jar Jar stuff is annoying and the antics is also annoying. But the Ima-Gundy and Captain Keeley stuff's cool. At 125, we got Death Trap. This is the part of the Boba Fett arc. It's a 3-part arc. This episode was just kind of boring to me. It was cool to see Boba Fett and what he does, but just a little boring to me. At 124, we got Gone with the Trace. I think this is the first episode in the Trace and Ruff arc. Yeah, it is. There's some cool shout outs to like early Clone Wars in this episode, but just other than that, I don't like Trace. It's kind of boring. Cool to see Ahsoka though return. At number 23, we got Senate murders. There's obviously murders with senators. Anaconda Farr dies, which was sad, but other than that, this was just kind of boring to me as well. Number 122, we got Together Again. This is the Trace and Ruff arc again. I think that's the last one I have to talk about, so thank God. Just, yeah, it was cool to see Maul, but other than that, it was pretty boring, so yeah. And 121, we got Shadow of Malevolence. This one was also kind of boring. It follows up from what I think is a really good episode 2 in season 1, but this one's just kind of boring. It's more of a space battle episode where Anakin takes his clone battalion, Plo Koons with them. It's kind of cool, but a little boring to me. Not as good as the first episode in that arc. Then we got 120 Hunt for Zero. This one was weird. The romance with Sy Snootles and Zero the Hutt and Zero the Hutt's mom, and then Sy Snootles getting the job done where she's like the best out of all of them. Like she beats Cad Bane in a bounty hunting job. Just kind of weird to me, but it's whatever. I like Quinlan Vos in the episode, but that's about it. And Obi-Wan, but yeah. At number 119, we got Trespass. This one's pretty good, except for the chairman. The chairman is very annoying and very like a colonizer. It's like what you would see in Pocahontas with the colonizers. It's overbearing to me, so that's why it's so low. At 118, we got Secret Weapons. This is part of the droid arc, and I can't remember if this is like the last episode. No, it's the first episode in the arc. Cool to get introduced with all the droid characters, but droid episodes, pure droid episodes don't work for me, so that's why it's so low. We got to see Neo in this episode though, just standing as a side character, so that was cool. At 117, we got The Disappeared Part 1. This one was pretty good. It's a Jar Jar episode though, and this first episode with Mace Jar Jar didn't work that well. The Queen is also just doesn't like Jedi. It's whatever, but the second episode, which you'll see later, I think does a lot better. And then we got the Blue Shadow Virus at 116. I think this would probably be the first episode in the arc. It was all right. Yeah, it is the first episode in the arc. This one was all right. We're in the C tier episodes, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. We're in the C tier episodes now, and yeah, this one isn't bad. It's a little annoying though. The plot's pretty basic. It's nothing much to look at, but it is cool to see them deal with like biological warfare. That's what I was getting into. It's cool to see them deal with biological warfare. That was a cool twist, but a lot of these season 1 episodes are, in my opinion, a little slow and lacking in some areas, so that's why it's this low. 2-4, we got Senate Spy, Rush Clovis, introduction of Rush Clovis. He's a creep and he's kind of weird in this episode, so that's why it's so low. At 513, not 513, that's the episode, but at 114 we got The Point of No Return. This is the last episode in the droid arc, thank God. I know some people like some of these episodes, but for me these ones are just lacking, except for one episode which we'll get to later, and I think we've already covered 3 of this D Squad episodes, so this is the second best one, but the other one beats it by a lot. This one's a little bit lower. They rescue Anakin and Obi-Wan because they sabotage a stolen Republic vessel that was going to crash into the conference holding like a ton of Jedi and like clone commanders. So it was cool to see them save them, but other than that, yeah, this just doesn't do it for me. The droid episodes don't do it for me. At 3-5, I keep on saying the episodes instead of the number, but at 113 we got Corruption. This is a Padme and Satine episode where they discover that there's like an illness in their school caused by drinks that the black market took on, and they exposed the black market, so good for them. A little boring though, in my opinion. At 119, we got I did it again. At 112, we got Storm over Ryloth. This is an Ahsoka centered episode where she's like given a big position in battle, and she gets a lot of her clones killed, but then she redeems herself in the end. Cool episode for Ahsoka, but just a little lacking in my opinion. At 111, we got Destroy Malevolence. This is the final episode in the Malevolence arc. Pretty good conclusion. Cool to see them destroy the Malevolence. Nice, good guys win episode, but a little lacking in my opinion, like a lot of other season 1 episodes. At 4-6, we got Nomad Droids, another droid episode with C-3PO and R2. This was, pretty boring. I don't know why they put these episodes in the Clone Wars, but it was kind of cool to see their adventures, but still, again, kind of boring. And then at 109, we got Lightsaber Lost. This is a pretty decent episode for Ahsoka again. Obviously, she loses her lightsaber, but Tera Sinube helps her get it back and teaches her patience. Again, pretty good episode for Ahsoka to learn something. Pretty good episode. And now we get to the B tier at 108. So yeah, I'll give you a hint right now. There's going to be a lot of B tier episodes. So brace for that. But for the first B tier episode, we got 108, Cat and Mouse. This is chronologically the first episode in the show, and it involves Anakin using a cloaking device ship, and they beat Admiral Trench. Pretty cool battle, pretty cool like naval battle stuff. Obviously space battles are pretty cool. It's called Star Wars for a reason, but other than that, I think this episode was a little bit boring and a little bit lacking. At 107, we got Dooku captured. This is where Dooku gets captured by Hondo and the pirates. Cool introduction to see Hondo, and it was funny to see the interactions with Anakin and Obi-Wan this episode as well. I think this episode's like one of the funnier episodes in the show, in my opinion, so that's cool. At 114, I did it again. At 106, we got Defenders of Peace. This is the Aayla Secura Anakin Ahsoka episode where they get in contact with the Lemur village. This episode's pretty cool to see the battling between the Separatists and the Jedi. Really cool to see them in action. The only thing that holds this episode back for me is that the Separatist general's kind of stupid, and Tiwat Ka, the leader, I think that's his name. I might be mixing them up. That might be the healer. I can't remember. But the leader of the Lemur tribe is kind of annoying with his beliefs. But other than that, still a good episode. At 5-3, we got Front Runners. This is part of the, what's it called? The Onderon arc. This is the, let's see. Yeah, this is the second episode in the arc. It drags a little bit. I feel like the dialogue in this episode was a little bit off for some reason. I don't know what it was, and also the character interactions were off, but it was cool to see them go into the city and stuff and do what they did. Pretty fun, but again, there were some things that were off about the episode. At 104, we got R2 Come Home. This is where Anakin and Mace Windu get stranded on that one planet with Boba and Aurra Sing hunting them down. R2 escapes and gets them help, and that's that. Cool to see the interactions with Mace and Anakin. That's about it. At 103, we got Assassin. Pretty cool episode with Aurra Sing and Ahsoka helping out Padme, and she ends up, saving Padme from Aurra Sing, and Aurra Sing is captured, and then they figure out that Zero the Hutt was behind this, so it kind of ties into the Evil Plans episode and, the Hunt for Zero episode. So I guess it's a cool little story, but I think a lot of those episodes are kind of boring. But this one was pretty cool to see Ahsoka grow in her powers in the Force. So it was cool. At 102, we got the Gungan General, and this is a Jar Jar episode again. But this episode's actually pretty decent. It's cool to see Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Dooku teaming up together, and eventually they're able to escape, but Dooku gets away. Unfortunately, they couldn't capture him, but it was also cool to see Jar Jar actually be kind of a decent character in this episode. But other than that, it's Jar Jar, so it's not going to be an amazing episode, but still pretty decent. At 101, we got Holocron Heist. This is where Cad Bane steals a holocron from the Jedi Temple. Really cool to see how Cad Bane is such a good bounty hunter. And, stealing a holocron from the Jedi Temple isn't an easy task, so it was cool that he was able to do it. At 100, we got the Zillo Beast. This was a really interesting episode. I love when Star Wars has like huge monsters like this, and the lore about it's just really cool. And you also got a Mace Windu in this episode, so that was pretty cool. At 99, we got the Disappeared Part 2. So again, like I said, this episode does a lot better with this Jar Jar and Mace plot. It's cool to see how Mace ended up respecting Jar Jar. He doesn't respect Anakin still. Binks got Mace's respect quicker than Anakin ever did, and better than Anakin ever did, which is funny. But yeah, and that's at 99. At 98, we got the Duchess of Mandalore. This rounds out the Mandalore arc in season 2. It was cool to see a Satine-centered episode, and she's able to prove her innocence and prove that a tape that said someone from Mandalore said that the Republic needs to help them, but Satine proves that's not what the message says. So good for her. She's able to do that. At 97, we got Missing in Action. This is also the droid episode, or the droid arc, and this is where we see Gregor come into play. And it was really cool to see Gregor. His sacrifice is actually pretty emotional, even though we know he survived. But it's more droid centered, so that's why it's so low. But again, it was cool to see Gregor, so that was nice. At I need to stop doing that. At 96, we got Rookies, and I know this is a little bit of a hot take. A lot of people like the Rookies episode, but like I said, I feel like a lot of these season 1 episodes are just kind of unpolished, and Rookies kind of feels that way. But again, I really do. I like this episode. I really do, even though I might not rate it as high as some other people. At 95, we got Mercy Mission, and I know you guys would probably hate me for putting Mercy Mission ahead of this one, but I think, the mysticism of what R2 and 3PO go through under the planet is pretty cool. I think Orphine, that one girl thing, I don't even know what she is, but her lore is kind of cool. Like, she's somewhat of a Force sensitive, I think. So that was cool to see, and of course seeing the Wolf Pack in the Phase 2 armor was also really cool to see, and also Wolf. And also I forget their names, but the aliens were, I like those aliens. I like that alien species, they're cute. But yeah. At 94, we got Sabotage. This is the start of the Ahsoka Framed arc, and it's cool to see the investigation. I just feel like this episode was a little bit slow. Fun fact, I got Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor from this episode. Just came out for Q1 for Lego Star Wars stuff. I still haven't put it together, but I'm going to soon. But anyways, this episode was pretty cool to see the investigation, but this isn't where we see Ahsoka start to get framed yet, and that's where it really starts to pick up. But this episode didn't have that, so it's a little bit lower than the rest. At 93, we got Bound for Rescue. This is the Youngling arc. This is where they, are trying to construct their lightsabers. Huyang is in this episode. That's cool. And the kids also have to, fear for their lives as pirates are trying to steal their stuff and the crystals and stuff, because those are valuable. So it was a fun little episode there. At 92, we got Hostage Crisis. This is the final episode in season 1, Cad Bane episode. Really good episode in my opinion. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see how menacing Cad Bane is. He literally takes a whole Senate chamber hostage and gets away with it. That's just crazy for him. At 91, we got Cargo of Doom, follow up to the Holocron episode. The Jedi are trying to get him, because Cad Bane needs a Jedi to unlock the holocron, but he kills the guy, so he needs more. And it's a cool moment between Anakin and Ahsoka in this episode, and that's about it. And number 90, we got Shadow Warrior. This is another Jar Jar episode, but surprisingly good. They end up capturing Grievous. There's a cool Anakin Dooku fight, and Dooku captures Anakin, so the trade-off happens. So nothing, insane really happens, but it was cool to see the action and stuff in this episode. At 89, we got War on Two Fronts. This is the first episode in the Onderon arc. It's pretty cool to see Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka train this group of rebels to take Onderon back from the Separatists and a dictator king, basically. Cool to see them training, like I said. And Rex is there too, so that's always nice. And we get to meet Lux again, and Saw Gerrera, and Steela. So pretty good lineup of characters in this episode, I must say. At 88, we got Gungan Attack. This is a part of the Water War arc with Princely Char. This was a pretty good episode, but the people end up getting captured. All our main characters end up getting captured in this arc, I think, or in this episode. But the Gungans, it's the Mon Calas, the Quarren, and the Gungans. Pretty cool battles, but nothing really much else. At 118, I did it again. At 87, Mystery of a Thousand Moons. This is a follow-up to the Blue Shadow Virus arc. It's a lot of stuff going on, guys. Bear with me. But at 87, this one's not bad. A decently better than the first one. Anakin and Obi-Wan go to the planet of Aigo to get a cure for the Blue Shadow virus because the virus leaked and contaminated people like Ahsoka and Rex and later Padme. So Anakin's really stressed out about that, but they get the cure and all's good. Pretty good episode. At 86, we got the Academy. This is back on Mandalore, where Ahsoka comes in to teach the students about like how a good government should be run. And the kids end up discovering a plot with the black market still there, and they discover that it's the Prime Minister, Almec, that's a part of it, and they're able to defeat Almec. Pretty good episode, though, with Satine as well, so pretty nice stuff there. At 85, we got Jedi Crash, the first part of the Lemur Village arc, two-part arc, if you want to call it that. Pretty good episode. It's cool to see Aayla Secura and Ahsoka bond with each other, and if you guys watch my Clone Wars Jedi ranking video, you'll see I had Aayla Secura in the top 10. It's because of this episode, actually, because I really like Aayla Secura in this episode, how she interacts with Ahsoka and the Lemur people. Yeah, pretty good episode, and it's cool to see that, so yeah. At 84, we got Children of the Force. This is the final part of the Holocron arc, in my opinion. This is where Sidious recruits Cad Bane to steal Force-sensitive children, which Palpatine wants to use later. It's cool to see. This is like a theory I have, but this was kind of like the introduction of the Inquisitors, where Palpatine, wants his own army of Force sensitives working for him, and he says that in the episode, so I thought that was pretty cool nod to the Inquisitors. But yeah, at 83, we got On the Wings of Kiridax. This is part of the Bad Batch arc. Pretty good episode, a little slower than the other three, but still does a good job. This is where Echo is part of the main crew again. And yeah, it's cool to see Echo all in good in this episode as well. So yeah. At 82, we got the Soft War. This is part of the Onderon arc again. I think this is the third episode in the arc. Pretty cool to see how they are able to rescue the king and Saw Gerrera because he gets captured in the last episode. Pretty tense though, because it was looking like the actual king was about to get arrested or executed. So it was cool to see that stuff with Ahsoka still there as well. So yeah. At 81, we got the Mandalore plot. This is the first part of the Mandalore arc in season 2. And the stuff with Obi-Wan and Satine is really cool. The Mandalorian lore is also really cool. Yeah, just a pretty good episode. At number 80, we got the Water War episode, Water War. This is the first arc episode in the arc. I'm jumbling on my words, guys. Bear with me. Pretty cool episode. Cool to see the planet and the battles that happen in it. So pretty good. At 79, we got A Friend in Need. I know a lot of people like this episode. I just think it's a little lacking, but it's cool to see the relationship between Lux and Ahsoka grow and how they are able to beat the Death Watch in this episode. So I thought that was really cool. At 78, we got Legacy of Terror. This is where Anakin and Obi-Wan investigate what's going on with the Geonosians, and they discover that there's a queen controlling a whole ton of undead Geonosians. So it was like a horror episode, but it was also pretty funny with the banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan. At at 77, we got Heroes on Both Sides. I really like this episode. It's a nice political episode where Padme meets with her old friend Mina Bonteri, and they try to discuss talks to have a peace vote between the Separatists and Republic. Unfortunately, it obviously doesn't go well, but it's cool to see Padme and Ahsoka as well, because she takes along in how they interact with Separatists, and this is where Ahsoka meets Lux too. So pretty nice stuff there. All right, let's see. At 76, we got The Bad Batch. Pretty good episode, pretty good introduction to season 1. Nice moments with Rex and obviously The Bad Batch, who later we got an entire show on. So pretty cool stuff to see how they interact in the action as well. Really nice stuff. At 75, we got Prisoners. Pretty good episode, final episode for the underwater arc. I know a lot of people don't like this arc, but I think it's decent, and it was a nice solution to see how the Prince is able to beat Rift Tamsin. It's a pretty graphic death, but I think it was a good wrap up for this arc. At 74, we got Bounty Hunters. This was a really good episode with Anakin and Obi-Wan with a group of bounty hunters, and they defend some local pirates against Hondo and his pirates. Pretty good episode. At 73, we got Slaves of the Republic, the second episode in the Slavers arc. Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and Rex get captured, and there's some really good moments in this episode. At 72, we got Sphere of Influence. This is where Baron Papanoida, aka George Lucas's character, his daughters get kidnapped by the Trade Federation because they're trying to hold them for ransom so they can have like this whole blockade and stuff, but they get them back and the blockade's lifted. Pretty cool stuff with Ahsoka, Baron Papanoida, and Senator Chuchi as well. So pretty good there. At 71, we got The Hidden Enemy. This is where the clones discover there's a traitor, and Rex and Cody have to discover who it is, and they eventually do. And this episode also has Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Asajj Ventress, which is pretty cool. At number 70, we got A Test of Strength. This is also a part of the Younglings arc, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember what episode this is. I messed up. Episode 8 for Bound for Rescue is where the kids rescue Ahsoka from Hondo and the pirates. This episode is where they build their lightsabers and have to defend themselves from the pirates that are trying to steal their stuff. My bad on that, guys. Sorry. But Bound for Rescue is where they rescue Ahsoka from the pirates, and this episode's where they build their lightsabers with Huyang and the pirates. My bad on that, guys. I had a feeling there'd be mistakes like that here, but oh well. At 69, we got A Necessary Bond. This is the finale for this arc, where the Separatists come into play and hold the pirates hostage as well as Hondo. But, the younglings need Hondo because he has all the stuff they need to escape. So they free Hondo, they work with him, and it was cool to see Hondo's relationship with the Jedi younglings in this episode. So pretty good finale for this arc. At 68, we got Cloak of Darkness. Really good episode with Luminara and Ahsoka versus Ventress. Not much else to be said there. Pretty good stuff. At 67, we got Weapons Factory. This is part of the Geonosis arc, and this was pretty good. This is where Barriss and Ahsoka team up, and Anakin and Luminara team up as well. where they're trying to destroy the factory that they're making all the droids in. Pretty good stuff in this episode. Really cool stuff between Anakin's relationship with Ahsoka and how Luminara tries to teach him and stuff like that. So pretty good stuff there. At 66, we got Deception. I'm pretty sure this is the first episode of the Obi-Wan Undercover arc. Yeah, pretty good episode here. I'm trying to find it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the episode. Yeah, it is. It's the first episode for the Obi-Wan Undercover arc. Pretty interesting stuff with Obi-Wan's fake assassination. And it's cool to see him in prison and how he interacts, being undercover as a bounty hunter. Cool stuff there. At a 65, we got An Old Friend. This is the season 6. This is a season 6 arc with Clovis and his return. Pretty cool stuff in this episode with the banking clan and everything, and how he's trying to. They got the stuff. I'm reading it. They got the stuff mixed up on this one, but it's cool stuff. But with Padme going here to see what's going on with the banking clan and all that stuff. So pretty good episode. And then Anakin gets involved, and Embo. Pretty cool stuff with him as well, as he's the bounty hunter trying to ruin her plans. At 64, we got the Zilla Beast Strikes Back. The Zilla Beast is on Coruscant, wrecks havoc, and unfortunately dies. Really good episode, though. At 63, we got The Gathering. This is where the younglings go to Ilum to get their crystals. Really cool stuff. I like the characterizations of the children, and yeah, just really good stuff. And now, rounding out the B tier, we got 7-4 Unfinished Business. Not 7-4, 62 Unfinished Business. I really shouldn't have wrote the season and episode on this. I'm really struggling with that. Sorry, guys. But this is the finale for the Bad Batch arc, and this was a really good episode where Echo proves to be useful, Anakin kills Trench, and the war on Anaxis is a Republic victory. So good stuff there. And now in the A tier, there's also a lot of A tier episodes here, but this one is also really good. At 61, we got Landing at Point Rain, first episode in the Geonosis arc, unless you want to count Sand and Spy, but I don't. This episode's really cool. All the battles that happen, really cool stuff. I love this arc a lot. One of the best battle episodes in the show, to be honest. At number 60, we got Tipping Points. This is the final episode in the Onderon arc, I believe. Let's see. Yes, this is the final episode in the Onderon arc. Steela dies, spoiler alerts. But it's a really cool conclusion to the war on Onderon, which is a rebel victory. Really cool stuff in this episode. At 59, we got Conspiracy. This is part of the Fives arc. And this was a really good follow-up to the first episode. Unfortunately, Tup dies in this episode, and Fives is trying to figure out the mystery of what happened. Pretty cool stuff in this episode. At 58, we got Friends and Enemies, the follow-up to the Obi-Wan Undercover arc. From the first episode, this is the second episode, and the interactions Obi-Wan, aka Reiko Hardeen, has with Cad Bane is really fun in this episode. I like the banter between them, and then Anakin comes in at the end and almost ruins the plot, but fortunately Obi-Wan's able to convince him and he escapes, but Anakin's trust is completely shattered from this episode. So a lot of stuff going on from this one. At 57, we got Liberty on Ryloth, another Mace-centered episode, really good episode. It's the finale for the Ryloth arc, and yeah, this one was really fun. Wat Tambor's in this one, Cham Syndulla's in this one, and all the battles and interactions, really fun in this episode. 56, we got Lair of Grievous, really good episode in my opinion. I love this depiction of Grievous. This is one of the best depictions Grievous has in this episode. Kills a ton of people in this episode with the clones and Dar Veb, and then the fight between Fisto and Grievous was really cool. At 55, we got Fugitive, also another part of the Fives arc, where Fives is now on the run because he's trying to figure out the plot, but the Kaminoans are trying to silence him, and he's able to figure out that the inhibitor chips have something to do with it. So we'll see what happens in the final episode for this one, but you guys know that it doesn't end well. But really cool stuff with Fives and also AZ in this episode. At 54, we got Altar of Mortis. Really good episode. I think, this is the second episode in the arc. Really cool stuff between the son and the daughter and seeing their powers and stuff. Also, you get Anakin versus Ahsoka. That was kind of fun to see. And then the father as well. Pretty fun to see, and the daughter dies in this one as well. A lot of stuff happens in this episode, and it's pretty good. At 53, we got Grievous Intrigue. This is an episode where he captures Eth Koth, and the Jedi lead a rescue team to obviously free him. Really cool stuff to see how the Jedi operate in this one and what they're able to do. Also nice to see Adi Gallia as one of the main Jedi in this episode. So again, pretty fun episode, and they rescue Eth Koth, and also seeing Grievous in this episode again. Really good Grievous episode as well. So yeah. At number 52, we got Innocence of Ryloth. This is the best Ryloth episode in my opinion. Obi-Wan and Cody are in this one. They lead a battle to take one of the cities. And Waxer and Boiler are also main characters, and we get to see how they interact with a Twi'lek girl named Numa, and that stuff with her was pretty touching. That's why this episode's so high. At 51, we got Kidnap, part of the Slavers arc, first episode. Really cool action in this episode, seeing how Anakin also deals with the Slavers as well. Really interesting stuff in this episode. At number 50, we got Distant Echo. This is the best episode in the Bad Batch arc, in my opinion, where Rex has to deal with, rescuing Echo and having to deal with the fact that he might not be alive. Things get tense between him and the Bad Batch, and that's really cool to see. Also, the interaction with Anakin and Padme in this episode is really touching, and Obi-Wan's interaction with Anakin, where he's like, "I hope you told Padme I said hello." That's a good moment in this episode. At 49, we got the Citadel, and I would think this is the first episode in the arc. Yeah, this episode's really good. Cool to see the Jedi lead a rescue mission. It is the first episode. Really cool to see the Jedi lead a rescue mission to capture Eth Koth. Really good stuff. And this one set the tone for how dark this arc would be. But yeah. At 44, we got Ambush, the first episode in the show, not chronologically, but by season-wise. It's obviously season 1, episode 1. A Yoda-centered episode, which is always really cool, and see how he's able to get victory against Ventress and get a king to side with him. Really cool stuff. At number 43, we got The General. This is the second episode in the Umbara arc, and seeing what the clones have to go through, as well as dealing with General Krell, just insane stuff. And they capture the airbase, seeing the moments with how the clones have to question what's really going on, how they should follow orders and stuff. All good stuff there. At 41, at 42, we got Clone Cadets. This episode's really good in my opinion. It shows the Domino Squad, how they are failures, but through the help of people like Heavy, they're able to get together as a team and end up succeeding. Really good stuff. At 41, we got the Rise of Clovis. This is the second part in the Banking Clan arc. Really cool stuff to see here, and man, the fight between Anakin and Clovis is insane. That's the best part of this episode. Also, the talk between Anakin and Obi-Wan about relationship stuff is actually really interesting as well. A really good moment. And again, just a nice continuation with the Banking Clan drama as well. So yeah. At number 40, we got To Catch a Jedi. This is the, let's see. I'm going to forget. I think this is the third episode though. Yeah, because season 5 only has 20 episodes. This is the third part in the arc. This is where, Ahsoka's on the run. She ends up teaming with Asajj Ventress. Really cool stuff in this episode. Yeah, it's pretty intense, but yeah. And then eventually, of course, they actually do end up capturing Ahsoka because Ahsoka has a fight with Barriss Offee and Barriss wins, and then the Jedi are able to capture her. So unfortunate for her, but really cool moments in this episode. At 39, we got Padawan Lost. This is the first part of the Ahsoka captured arc. And yeah, this episode was really, really good in my opinion. And yeah, just the stuff that Ahsoka goes through in this episode, seeing Anakin's worry for her, seeing her interactions with the other Jedi who I think would be youngling level, and then seeing Khalifa die, just crazy stuff in this episode. Really good in my opinion. At 38, we got Monster. This is part of the Night Sisters arc where they're trying to find an apprentice to eventually assassinate Dooku. And the storyline with Savage Opress is really good in this episode. Seeing the training sequences, well, the tests that he has to go through, it's really good stuff in my opinion. And yeah, and I think, no, it's not this episode, or it is this episode where he goes to the planet and kills those two Jedi. That was crazy to see. Really good episode with Savage and Ventress. At 37, we got Plan of Descent. This is the third episode in the Umbara arc where Fives, Jesse, and Hardcase go to destroy one of the supply ships, and they end up succeeding. But unfortunately, they are reprimanded by Krell at the end of the episode. Again, seeing what the clones have to go through on Umbara and them questioning Pong Krell and his leadership, really good stuff for this arc. At 35, we got The Unknown. This is the first episode in the Fives arc, and seeing Tup execute Tip, I think it was Tiplar, right? It's either Tiplar or Tiplee that he kills. I think it's Tiplar. Yeah, it is Tiplar. But yeah, seeing that moment was insane. But then also seeing the rescue mission for Tup was also really fun. Seeing Anakin, Rex, and Fives together, just good stuff there. At 34, we got Rising Malevolence, and yeah, you guys might be shocked, but I really like this episode. Seeing Plo Koon as one of the main characters, seeing Anakin and Ahsoka interact with each other, how they're trying to rescue Plo Koon. Just really, you gotta watch it for yourself. I think this is a really underrated episode, in my opinion. And then at 33, we got Wookiee Hunt. This is the second part in the Ahsoka captured episode. Or in the Ahsoka captured arc, Chewbacca's in this episode, which is really fun, and they actually made it work, and it wasn't just a stupid cameo like a lot of episodes in the Disney era have done. But yeah, this episode was really good in my opinion. Seeing Wookiee, the Chewbacca, Ahsoka, and the younglings team up against the Trandoshans, and eventually, with the help of backup Wookiees and the bounty hunters like Shuggy, they get their freedom. Really cool stuff. Really good character building for Ahsoka. So yeah. At 32, we got the Lost One. This is where the Jedi uncover something where they uncover Sifo Dyas's lost ships. So they try to investigate on it, and they're so close to figuring it out. But Dooku is able to stop Anakin and Obi-Wan. And yeah, just a lot of, episode 2 like lore information you get in this episode. It's really good. And then for the last A-tier episode, we got Brain Invaders. This is where Ahsoka and Barriss are returning from Geonosis, and there's these worms that infect people and turn them into zombies. That's what the undead Geonosians were, what was happening with the undead Geonosians from the last episode. But this one, they start infecting the clones, and the clones start turning on Barriss and Ahsoka, so they have to figure out what's going on and how to, defeat them. And at the same time, Anakin is worrying about Ahsoka, of course, and the moment he has with Poggle Lesser is crazy. But yeah, this episode's really good. Really nice character development for Barriss and Ahsoka as well. But now, starting in the S tier, we got number 30, Overlords. This is the first episode in the Mortis arc, and yeah, this one was really good. Originally, you guys know if you watched the season 3, every episode ranked, I had this episode lower, but I don't know what I was thinking, so I made it higher, and yeah, it's really good. So yeah, a really good episode in my opinion, with the start of the Mortis gods and how Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka interact with them. Really good stuff. At 29, we got The Jedi Who Knew Too Much. This is part of the Ahsoka framed arc, obviously, and this is where Ahsoka, of course, starts getting framed for what happened with the bombing, because she kills the prisoner and then kills clones, and then all the evidence starts getting stacked up against her. And the moment with Anakin and Ahsoka before she completely runs away from him is really one of the best character interaction moments in this show, with the dialogue and everything. Really good stuff. At 28, we got Crisis on Naboo. This is the last episode in the Obi-Wan Undercover arc, where they're gonna intercept the bounty hunters' plans to kidnap the Chancellor with Count Dooku, and they succeed, but it was all part of Dooku's plan and Sidious's plan to get Anakin alone, and Dooku and Anakin have a fight, and it really shows how strong Anakin's become. Really good stuff in this episode with that. And, just to see how this was all just a plan, Sidious's plan to test Anakin and get him to be more distrustful of the Jedi. Just really brilliant stuff. You possibly won't catch it just by watching the arc, but when you really dig into it, and you also see the webisode for this arc, you understand it. So yeah, really good last episode in this arc. At 27, we got Crisis at the Heart. This is the final part in the Banking Clan arc. Really good stuff in this, where Anakin has to save the day, rescue Padme. Clovis ends up sacrificing himself to, ends up dying. I don't know if it's much of a sacrifice, but he ends up dying. Really cool stuff in this episode. And also seeing Commander Thorn in this episode. Really cool stuff with that. I just watched this episode recently, so yeah, really good episode with Commander Thorn as well. Yeah, really, really nice stuff. And it wraps up the Banking Clan. Sidious, of course, or Chancellor Palpatine, has control of the banks now. Insane stuff. A lot of people don't like this episode because Clovis, but I think it's a really good episode. So yeah, or a really good arc. And then at 26, we got Citadel Rescue. I think this would be, this would be the final part, right? I think it would be, or maybe it's the second part. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Or is it? Did I skip one? I might have skipped one. Where's 319? Because I don't think I talked about 319 yet. Oh well, I might have skipped 319, guys. Sorry about that. I think I didn't include counterattack. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. I double checked this. I can't believe I missed that. Or no, I did miss it. It's right here at number 45. I must have just skipped 45. As you guys can see, this was a really hard thing to make. But at 45, we got counterattack. This was the, I guess I'll talk about it now, but second part in the Citadel arc, where they obviously have rescued Even Peel from his prison, but they're still trying to escape. There's a huge battle that happens towards the end, and Echo dies, but he actually does survive. But seeing what they have to go through, and also O.C. Sobek, I think, is a really good villain in this arc. It did a really good job, and also it's voiced by James Arnold Taylor. So good stuff in this episode. Really cool to see the battles and everything. Also, Even Peel's character and how the Jedi interact, as well as Tarkin, because the moments between Tarkin and Anakin in this episode are really cool as well. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Back to number 26. We got Citadel Rescue, the final part in this arc. Really good stuff. They're able to escape the Citadel. Unfortunately, Even Peel dies, which is really sad, because I think he was a really good Jedi in this episode. As you guys know, he's in my top 10 Clone Wars Jedi, and pretty high up in my opinion because of this arc. Really cool stuff. with him, and his death is actually really sad. But seeing how they're able to escape the Citadel, as well as, you know, seeing the space battle to get to rescue them is really fun. So yeah. At number 25, we got The Box, the third part in the Obi-Wan Undercover arc, and it's actually kind of shocking that this one is the best episode in that arc, but I just think the whole idea of The Box is like really cool, seeing the challenges the bounty hunters have to face, and you know, it's not easy. Like the box is intended to kill off the worst of the bounty hunters, and it does succeed in that. And also seeing Cad Bane save Obi-Wan, aka Reiko Hardeen, was really nice as well. Just a really good episode. If you could know nothing about Star Wars, but if you watch this episode, I think you would find a lot of enjoyment about it, to be honest. At number 24, we got Witches of the Mist. This is the final part in the Night Sisters arc. Seeing Savage and Ventress versus Dooku is really fun. Also seeing how Anakin and Obi-Wan get involved was really fun as well. Also, the training sequence with Savage and Dooku is really good. I like that a lot. Really good episode. Good conclusion. And then at 23, we got Brothers. This is where Savage finds Darth Maul. Really, really interesting. And seeing Maul like that was honestly scary, but so good at the same time. At 22, we got Escape from Kadavo. This one is really high up on my list. We're in the top 25. I forgot to mention that, but this one is really good. So close to being a 10 out of 10 episode for me. This episode is really good. Finally, the slave empire gets destroyed. Just the moments with all the characters. Plo Koon shows up to the rescue. The slave keeper gets killed. That was nice to see. The moments where Dooku shows up and kills the queen, also good stuff. Like, this episode had it all, basically. Almost all you'd want in a Clone Wars episode. So yeah, really good stuff. And now we get into the 10 out of 10 episodes. Starting at 21, we got ARC Troopers. So the worst 10 out of 10 episode for me, but still really good. I mean, again, this has everything you want in a Clone Wars episode. The Battle of Kamino, everyone's there. Asajj Ventress, Grievous, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Rex, Cody, all the clones you could think of. Shaak Ti even, 99, who unfortunately dies. Just such good action, such good everything you would want. Really good episode. At 20, we got Voyage of Temptation. This is part of the Mandalore arc in season 2 again, and I think this episode is really good. I'm not an insane fan of relationships in movies and shows, but the way they do it in this episode with Obi-Wan and Satine works so well, in my opinion. Honestly, the reason this episode is a 10 out of 10 is because of that stuff with them and each other, but also the action is really good where the traitors trying to capture Satine so the Death Watch can get power. The droid attacks on the ship, the droid assassins, really good stuff in this episode. The moments between Obi-Wan and Satine, though, just so good. Just so good, but yeah. At number 19, we got Bounty. This is where Asajj Ventress takes on a bounty hunting job with the bounty hunter gang Krait's Claw with Boba Fett. Really good episode. The action is amazing. I love the action. And then, seeing Ventress's morality get tested as well. Just really good stuff. And just before that, we have number 18, Massacre, which is the episode that takes place right before the last episode I just mentioned. But this is where the Separatists attack Dathomir to get revenge on Mother Talzin and Ventress for them trying to assassinate Dooku, and the battle between the Night Sisters and the Separatists is so good. Amazing action. Like, most of these episodes are up here because the action is amazing. Like, the best action you'll see in Star Wars, to be honest. And the battle with the Night Sisters and Separatists is peak. And, to see the collapse of the Night Sisters is kind of sad, but also, kind of deserved in a way, but they're both evil. So seeing evil versus evil, I think, is really cool in my opinion. But yeah. At 17, we got Night Sisters. This is the first episode in the Night Sisters arc. Seeing Ventress's backstory was actually really touching and sad, seeing what happened to her, basically, or like how she came to be, how she trained with a Jedi and stuff, and then seeing how Dooku took her under, as well as the battle with her and Obi-Wan at the start, and also how Dooku betrays her and tries to get her killed because Sidious wants her dead, and then seeing how, and then of course seeing Ventress and the two Night Sisters versus Dooku, peak lightsaber battle, such a good lightsaber battle. Oh my lord, so good, so good. And then at number 16, we got Shades of Reason. This is the third to last episode. I count 5-1 as part of this arc, but this is the third to last episode in the Maul takeover of Mandalore arc. Seeing the battle between Maul and Pre Vizsla. Oh my, another good lightsaber battle. Like, all these episodes up here might also be because they have some of the best lightsaber battles in the show as well. Like, so good, so good. Yeah, I really like this episode a lot. Even though I would consider it the worst of the other three that I'm going to talk about, I still think it's good. You know, some of the stuff that happens, you know, drags it down a little bit, but it's still a 10 out of 10 episode. It's like Revenge of the Sith in that sense, where there's some things that you really don't think make sense, but it's still Revenge of the Sith, you know. It's still, like, really freaking good. And that's what this episode's like to me, but yeah. It's pretty cool to see how Death Watch and, you know, with Maul and Savage's plan took over Mandalore. That was really cool to see. And then at number 15, we got 611 Voices. This episode was the start of the Yoda arc, and I think this episode was really good. Like, seeing Yoda hear Qui-Gon and seeing, you know, hearing from his instruction, just really good stuff in my opinion. See, of course, Qui-Gon and Yoda, two of the best characters in Star Wars, honestly. Also, seeing the Jedi Council, how they worked out, seeing their concern for Yoda. I think all the stuff with the Jedi was really interesting in this episode. Like I've said before, the Jedi are is probably the most interesting thing in Star Wars to me. So seeing them in like really a big role in this episode, I think was really cool to see how they work, not only, you know, on the battlefield, but, you know, as a council and, you know, with their own matters, basically. I just really think that stuff was good. At number 14, we got Old Friends Not Forgotten. This is the start of the Siege of Mandalore arc, also with the season finale, the final arc in the Clone Wars. And this was a really good episode to start on. Of course, you know, with the battle with Anakin and Obi-Wan and the 501st 212th, then Anakin seeing Ahsoka, and then they go to Mandalore and everything, seeing how it coincides with Revenge of the Sith with the Chancellor being kidnapped. All that stuff was just really good. Really good episode. And then the you know, the cliffhanger with Maul showing up, just good stuff. Not as good as the other three, in my opinion, but it was a good start, really good start. So yeah. At number 13, we got Revenge. This is where Maul returns officially. He gets fixed because he was mentally insane, but then once he's back, he is back, and you know, I mean, he wastes no time in being absolutely evil, basically slaughtering an entire village with women and children, mind you, not just the men, but the women and children. Yeah, nice Star Wars line there, but yeah, that was crazy moment. And then seeing Obi-Wan meet Maul, and then seeing Obi-Wan and Ventress team up against Maul and Savage, that lightsaber battle, perfect episode, just really good stuff, really good stuff. At number 12, we got Eminence. This is the, you know, second or first part of the Siege of Takeover of Mandalore. What if you want to include 5-1, you can, but I do include it, so it's the second part to me. You know, the Death Watch finds Maul and Savage. They team up together, and then they start, you know, making a plan to take over Mandalore. They get the Black Sun. Insane moment that happens with Savage doing what he does. The Pikes join them. Then they go to Tatooine and try to get... Well, no, they go to Nal Hutta first to get the the Hutt clan, but, bounty hunters are sent after them to try to get them away, but they defeat them. They get the Hutt clan on their side when they go to Tatooine and get Jabba to forcefully be with them. I just think, the army building and, what they do in this episode is so good. And, it's above 515 Shades of Reason, because I think they just did this episode perfectly. Like, it's so good. It's really so good. And then right ahead of Eminence, we got number 11, which is Revival. And this episode's really good, of course. It's a 10 out of 10 episode, but Obi-Wan and Adi Gallia versus Maul and Savage, and then Obi-Wan versus Maul and Savage. So good, so good. And then, of course, you got Hondo and the pirates as well. It's really cool to see, Maul and Savage trying to establish, their own, crime syndicate and army, basically. Seeing how good Maul is as a Sith Lord, because he was a Sith Lord. Sith are insanely smart, and seeing how Maul is able to do stuff like this, just really good. And yeah, the action, of course, really good. Hondo is a nice comedic relief in this episode. They just do this episode perfectly, of course. But at number 10, we got Ghosts of Mortis. And, some people might, it is in my top 10, so what am I saying? This episode's so good. The stuff with Anakin and the father, the final part where Anakin, may or may not realize that he's the chosen one, but it just wraps it up perfectly. The mysticism of this arc as a whole is just really good, and it all wraps it up here. When the son reveals, Anakin's future, that moment goes insanely hard. It's one of the best moments in the show, of course. It's been clipped to oblivion of how many people think that part in the show is insane. And it is. But, everything that happens with the father and the son in this episode, it's just so good. I love when Star Wars does stuff like this. It's so good. But at number 9, we got Orders. And this is the final part in the Fives arc. And of course, we all know what happens. Fives' death, so sad. Real men shed tears at that moment. I know I did. But it's so sad. But seeing, what Fives goes through, and seeing the Chancellor reveal probably what's actually going on, and how Fives tries to do all he can to stop it, but it just doesn't work out. And this is tragedy is peak storytelling. It really is. Seeing tragedy unfold, it's peak storytelling. And there's a couple more episodes that are like that in the last, best episodes of the show. But yeah, this one just does it so well. Really sad stuff. At number 8, we got Shattered, which is the second to last episode in the final arc of the show, the Siege of Mandalore. And this is where Order 66 unfolds, and they just do that. They do it perfectly. You have to watch this episode for yourself. It's so good. It really is. The way they draw it out with the eerie music and stuff, the beginning, and then when it finally happens, it just happens with Rex and Ahsoka. It's so gripping. I don't know how they did it. This is really just one of the best arcs in all of fiction, one of the best stories in all of fiction. It really is. It's insane. And then seeing, Rex or Ahsoka be able to help Rex in the end, with the help of droids and stuff. Just a lot of great stuff in this episode. At number 7, we got the season 6 finale, which is Sacrifice, originally the last episode in the show. And I've said before, but I think they really did a great job at on this episode. Just, yeah, the way they wrapped it up was perfect. Yoda sacrifices what he needs to sacrifice for the future. Hearing that there's another Skywalker in the future that Yoda will train, and he completes his training. He becomes one with the Force, basically. The training that he does, there's another episode that I'll get to for this arc, of course, but yeah, this episode was really good. Of course, getting vision from the Force priestesses, seeing his interaction with Darth Bane was cool, seeing his fictional fight with Sidious and with Anakin as well, just cherry on the top. It gives me chills thinking about it. Like, it's a weird episode to end on, but I think they nail it, honestly. Just really good stuff. At number 6, we got The Phantom Apprentice, the second episode in, of course, the last arc of the show for the Siege of Mandalore. This episode's so good. I debated putting Shattered above this episode, but I just think this episode does a lot more right things right. Of course, the battle with Ahsoka versus Maul, peak lightsaber fight. I think there is one better lightsaber fight in this show, which we'll get to, but this episode was really good with that whole fight between Ahsoka and Maul. I know a lot of people want to say Maul should have easily won that fight, but it's fiction. Anything can happen. It's a good lightsaber fight. Ahsoka is powerful. We know this, and Maul did win, but of course he let his arrogance get the best of him, like he always has. So it's a good moment, and everything else that happens during this, the whole battle with the clones and the Mandalorians as well. Just everything in this episode works. It's so good. Now we're in the top 5, and at the start of the top 5, we got The Wrong Jedi, the final episode in season 5, and I think you all know why this is a top 5 episode. It's a top 5 episode, I'd say, in basically almost every Clone Wars fans list. Oh man, the fight with Barriss and Anakin, Ahsoka getting expelled, but then being able to come back and she turns it down. Again, tragedy. This is one of the best, episodes in the Clone Wars, and it ends in tragedy. Ahsoka leaving the Order, also enough to make a grown man cry. I don't know if I did, or shed tears, maybe not cry, but shed tears. I don't think I did, but I could be wrong. Like, this show, of course, has gotten me emotional, and for good reason. But yeah, that moment, I could talk so much more about this episode and arc, and I probably will someday. But yeah, so good. And then at number 4, we got Carnage of Krell. Of course, you guys all know why this is so high up. Also, another episode that most would probably put in their top 5. Oh man, seeing the betrayal of Krell, how the clones murder their own brothers, Waxer's death, so sad. Also enough to make a grown man cry, shed tears. I did when I watched this episode. Just, oh man, so sad. And again, another tragic episode, but it does end in victory, but also a thing of lamenting, where it's like, why does this happen to us? Why do we do this? And what happens to us after this war? It's gripping stuff. And of course, seeing the fight with Pong Krell and the clones, insane, and they're able to capture him and then they execute him. Just crazy stuff that they were able to do in a kids show. It's crazy, just crazy stuff. But then, now we're in the top 3. And at number 3, this was so hard to do, by the way. The top 3, in my opinion, can be changed around. Like, number 3 could be number 1 on a given day, or it could be number 2 on a given day. But I put at number 3 for now for this list. But at number 3, I got The Lawless. The final episode in the takeover of Mandalore. Maul has taken over Mandalore. He's gotten what he wants. But there's still one more thing he needs to do. And it's get revenge on Kenobi. And boy, does he. Boy, does he. Seeing Satine's death is also another moment to make a grown man cry. There's so many moments, so many emotional moments. I don't think I did, like I've said before, for some parts, which episode? The Wrong Jedi. But I might as well have. That's such a sad moment, seeing Obi-Wan in pain like that. Also, this episode possibly also for that moment solidified Obi-Wan being my favorite character in Star Wars, where he's standing off to Maul, where it's like, it takes strength to resist the dark side. Only the weak embrace it. And it's crazy. And, he doesn't act on his anger. He probably is very angry that Maul killed him, or Satine, but he doesn't act on it. It's just great character moments there. And then, of course, we know what happens at the end. My favorite lightsaber fight in the Clone Wars, and probably a top 5 lightsaber duel for me in Star Wars overall, maybe even top 3. Sidious versus Maul and Savage, just one of the best action you'll ever see. So freaking good. Seeing Sidious's entrance, probably the most awful entrance in Star Wars in my opinion, besides maybe Darth Vader in Rogue One. Man, it's such a perfect episode, man. Such a perfect episode. And seeing Savage die is low-key kind of sad as well, because he's kind of a victim in all of this, molded by the Night Sisters, made evil by them, basically, and, never had the chance to turn back. Just sad. But, yeah, and then, Sidious gets the upper hand. Great fight. Just great everything. And then, at number 2, again, like I said, this could be number 1. But for this video, it's number 2 because I got one more episode to talk about after this one. But it's the finale, the Clone Wars finale, Victory and Death. Need I say anything about this episode? Most people think this is the best episode in the entire show. And in some way, I do agree with that. I could put this episode at number 1, like I said, but it's, oh man, the ending, man, the ending of everything. It was a perfect way to end the Clone Wars. And I don't even want them to make more seasons because of this. I would want them to make more seasons of the Clone Wars, but because of this ending, how it's, season 7, they can't make a season 8 now because this episode is the perfect ending, the perfect ending. But I do hope they make more Clone Wars, things someday, It doesn't have to be called the Clone Wars. It can be called something else, but it takes place in the Clone Wars. I mean, that's kind of what we saw with shows like Tales of the Jedi, where they take place during certain movies and stuff, but we don't call it part of Revenge of the Sith. Just like, they could make Son of Dathomir, but we don't have to call it, an episode of the Clone Wars, But back onto this episode, Victory and Death, of course. Just, again, another ending to make a grown man cry. And I can't believe this show ends on a tragic note. They were daring to do that because Revenge of the Sith ends on a basically tragic note. And now Clone Wars Season 7 ends on definitely a tragic note, actually. Like, in Revenge of the Sith, you could say there's hope at the end because, we see Luke and Leia being born and given to their parents where they'll eventually save the galaxy one day. But in this episode, there is no hope. There is no happiness at the end. Everyone dies and the galaxy is in chaos, and there is nothing enlightening about it. It's just, of course, the burial of the soldiers, the music. I'm getting chills talking about it. Darth Vader at the end, of course. Like, just tragic, man. Just tragic. There's nothing more I can talk about this episode. So let's move to my number 1 favorite episode. Believe it or not, I think it is Season 6, Episode 12, Destiny. I bet you all are shocked about that, huh? Like, no one would expect the best episode in the entire show for anyone's opinion to be Season 6, Episode 12, Destiny. But Yoda's adventure, Yoda's journey through this episode is like, it's amazing. It's like Studio Ghibli levels, basically. If you know Studio Ghibli movies, it's like that. Like the journey, the mysticism that Yoda goes through. A scene that gets me emotional every time is where Yoda sees a false reality of the Jedi Order being like completely peaceful, where like everyone's conversing with each other. It's peaceful, joyful, there's no war, nothing wrong, and it's so gripping. Like, I almost get emotional talking about it. Like, I don't know why, but there's just something about it. But also seeing Yoda defeat his self, like his dark side, where he recognizes there is darkness in him, and that's something to behold. He defeats his dark side. And then, of course, he has to come to reality, whereas, like, the false reality he sees here isn't real. Like, it can't be this way. It's just, I've talked about it before in my Season 6, every episode rank, but man, it's so good. And, of course, It's I can't talk more about it. You just have to watch this arc for yourself. The Yoda's journey arc. It's peak Clone Wars in my opinion. And of course, like I said, I mean, Voices is in my top 15, and then Sacrifices in my top 10. And of course, this episode's number one. It's one of my favorite arcs in the entire show. And even if you want to include a episode 10 for season 6, I mean, that's an A-tier episode, very high A-tier episode. It's, yeah, I can't talk more about it, but you guys will just have to watch it for yourself. And I will make a video on the arc in the future as well, so stay tuned for that, but it'll probably be years down the road, to be honest, because I plan to make, a review for almost every arc in this show, so it might be a while, but I will do it one day. So yeah, that's my list. That's all the episodes ranked number 133 to number 1. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly did. One of my favorite videos I've ever made. And, I hope to make more amazing Clone Wars and Star Wars videos in the future. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you for the next one.